Hey everyone, welcome back to Purple Noon the podcast with me, Stephanie Conti, and Savannah Lanelse.
Hey everybody. I'm waiting for my
I'm running out of ways to
question.
introduce you. I have to do now some research on
you
like
could
things
always
I can
do
call
it
you.
based on the movie we watched. Like if you hear something they say, you could always call me that.
Oh, I'll call my little Ingele, Savannah.
There you go. See? All right, I'm ready for my question, Steph.
Holy crap, let me do the show intro. All right.
I'm tired of losing.
Hold on, let me gather myself. And not only am I welcoming you to Purple Noon, the podcast, I'm also welcoming you to Purple Noon, the game show! I'm leaving space for Zach to add in something. And scene. Okay. So as you know, this is Purple Noon, the game show, where I'm going to ask Savannah to name a movie based off this famous pickup line. So are you ready, Savannah?
Yes.
All right. It's midnight. Look at the clock. One hand has met the other hand. They kiss. Isn't that wonderful?
That's the line?
That's not a good pickup line.
That's a real stupid line. If someone said it to me, I'd be like, all right, it's getting late. It's time to
They're
go.
like, oh, look, the clock hands kiss. Should we? Like, what? You know what? I've been doing that voice, and I sound like that one woman from Cinderella story.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, so I'll repeat it again. It's midnight. Look at the clock. One hand has met the other hand. They kiss. Isn't that wonderful?
I'm gonna need a hint. You already know.
Would you like actor, actress, or director?
Director.
Ooh, hold on. Let me see if I can pronounce it.
Oh no, forget it.
Ernst Lub. It looks like Lubitsch, but it's Lubitsch. Lubitsch.
Do I know
Lubitsch.
Do I know any of his other films?
I don't know any of his other films.
All right, well.
And I'll throw in a little bonus hint. 1939.
Oh, the only movie I know, I don't even know it's from 30s. Morning Glory, 30s. I'm just thinking
Another hint, because I just gotta help you. I think the name is of like a Russian lady.
No, because I was thinking Katharine Hepburn, because that's who I think about when I think about like the 30s. And it's it's foreign film. I
think because the actress is a well-known actress, American actress.
All right.
But I think her character is Russian.
Heidi Lamar. No, that's not it. It's not Vivian Lee, is it?
I just said, wait, didn't I just say? Oh, no. I'll tell you who it is. It's Greta Garbo.
Forget that. This is the last time with Greta Garbo. This is the last time again. I don't know it. I don't.
Give me a Russian name.
Natasha.
Close.
Natalie.
Ninotchka. It's Ninotchka. With Melvin Douglas, Greta Garbo, directed by Ernest Lubitsch, 1939.
Oh my God, Stephanie, you need to mix up the cards, because if this is like 30s and 40s for
what did I tell you, though? What did I tell you? This is from 2003, a Turner Classics movie pack. But you think that they're gonna have like, When Harry Met Sally, that type of stuff?
Yeah, but at least like something in the 70s or the 80s.
Hold on, I'm gonna look through the cards now.
Because if this is all 1935, like I don't think we're gonna get very far.
The oldest I've seen so far is 1954.
Okay, maybe.
Nothing over nothing out of the 50s.
Are you kidding me?
Well, sorry, you're such a party pooper loser.
This is gonna be me losing for 29 days straight.
You know what? And when this is 28 days, 28 days.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay, just to get a little off topic here, when that runs out, I did want to see if maybe I could buy. You ever heard of the Cinephile card game?
I've heard of it.
I was thinking maybe we could do that after this.
You could quiz me. Fine. Just fine. You know what? I was thinking about this. I was like, what's something that like she can quiz me on? And I think, because I was like, what if, because I don't know why I was thinking about Marlon Brando. It's probably because I'm always thinking about Marlon Brando. But what if like you found like the most obscure facts about Brando and tested me? Because I always claim to be like the biggest Marlon Brando fan.
I could do that. I mean, I don't know if we could do that.
I think it's just more so I want my skills to be tested.
I can always find like when it's your turn, like obscure like film facts or like really weird, like even with Marlon Brando, like stuff like that. I'm sure you would get it though, because it was funny. I was watching Apocalypse Now and I was just looking up things and, I was like, Stephanie, like, I was just telling her something. She's like, oh, yeah, I know. And did you know he shaved his head on purpose? Like, just automatically. So I feel like even if I would try to find some little fact about him, you would, like, know the time, date, and when it happened.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, I think I just spent way too many years just looking up info about him. I had quite the obsession like 5+ years ago with him.
He's a very interesting person. I do have his book from your recommendation. He's a very interesting person.
So after these 28 days, I dare you to test me on my Brando knowledge.
All right. You hear that? You hear that, everybody? 28 days from now. I get to
28 days. I'm going to study. I'm going to read all the books. I'm going to do everything again.
But tune in to see me fail for 28 days straight. So, yeah.
All right. So shall we start with the review?
Yes, I'm excited for this one.
So let me do a little synopsis. So this is actually our first TV show that we're reviewing. The first of potentially some down the road.
Yeah.
Even though that this podcast will focus mostly on Criterions and movies we really do enjoy about, some TV shows will be popping up along the line, like this one, just because we love it. And the one that we're going to be talking about today is 2020's Hunters. Available on Prime. Not a sponsor. How great would that be, though, if we got Amazon's money?
I'm going to tag them in everything when this comes out. Be like, look what we did, guys. Look.
Yeah, this is your show. So just to give you a little synopsis, right now Hunters only has one season, so we're only going to be talking about the first season. And the synopsis is, in 1979, in New York City, a troubled young Jewish man bent on revenge is taken in by a secret group of Nazi hunters fighting a clandestine war against the... I should have read this plot. Jesus. It was just so much more wordy than I expected. Okay. Nazi hunters fighting a clandestine war against the cabal of high-ranking Nazi officials in hiding who work to create the Fourth Reich. So pretty much, in layman's terms, hunters hunting Nazis in the 70s who are trying to start the Fourth Reich.
Awesome. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, go ahead, keep going.
No, you say your little thought.
No, I just wanted to say, I came upon the show about, I want to say February. It came out earlier this year, so February or March, and I was just, not doing much in Puerto Rico, just chilling. And I came across the show, and I started to watch it because, not to get too ahead of you stuff, but Al Pacino is one of the main stars. And I love a good Al Pacino's, so I played it.
You love a good cappuccino from that horrible Adam Sandler movie?
Yes. So I played it. And then for you guys that don't know, Stephanie is a very big World War II Nazi-esque. Not that she likes Nazis, but...
Whoa! Do not use the word Nazi-esque in my name in a sentence without explaining, dude.
Like people that are going out and killing Nazis. She likes things like that. Like
films. I like films and TV shows and movies about that, not just in general.
No, sorry for the miswording, but Stephanie, she does like, and I know she likes Al Pacino, so I recommended it to her, and I've seen it 3 times because my dad loves it, and we watched it together, and then I watched it once.
I saw it 3 times too.
Yeah, it's that good, guys. Anyway, I'm sorry, Steph, for the miscommunication, but...
It's fine. It's like we segue into calling me a Nazi, but that's okay.
No, I meant you like that theme. in
I do.
shows.
I do enjoy.
And I do too.
You know,
I do too.
it's very hard to mess up a World War II movie. Like in terms of like it's attention grabbing, very hard to mess up. But anyway, so the cast stars Logan Lerman, and I'm gonna go through 10 people because these are like the 10 people who you see in like every episode.
Yeah.
Logan Lerman, Jerrica Hinton, Lena Olin, Saul Rubinek, Carol Kane, Josh Radnor, Greg Austin, Tiffany Boone, Louis Ozawa, Kate Mulvaney, Dylan Baker, and Al Pacino.
Yes.
So that is the cast. We're not gonna do, oh hey, like here's our little review before the spoilers. No, just go watch it. Like there's none of that. Just go watch it, come back, or just listen to what we have to say. But there will be spoilers. So here's our spoiler.
There has to be spoilers.
This is our little spoiler, red flag right now, and we're just gonna get into it. But if you're like, oh, should I watch it? Yes, 10 hours. Just go and do it. You won't regret it.
Definitely, I agree.
That was very like animalistic, me saying it. I had my hands up in the air, just like in a motion, like a shooing motion, like go see it, go see it.
As you can tell, we highly recommend it. So Steph, what do you want to talk about first? It's a very character driven show, so we could talk about characters, we could talk about the plot. Like what do you want to do?
You know what? Let's start from let's go like characters, story, and then we will give our thoughts about how the first season ends.
All right.
Sound good?
Yeah. So, okay, which character? I think we should go down the line a little brief.
We got to start with homeboy Logan Lerman.
Oh my goodness.
By the way, Logan Lerman, if you're listening, appreciate you as an actor. Thank you for making parts of my childhood so great with Percy Jackson. You the man.
We love you. He was another reason I watched the show because I haven't seen him in a lot. Not that he wasn't doing anything. I just don't think I have seen him in a lot of films lately. So when I saw he was on it, I was just like, I want to see what he's doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked his character because I do feel like, although in the beginning he plays this sort of skittish, confused kid, he kind of evolves into, the Nazi hunter, which I thought was really cool. And
yeah, he had a great character arc.
Yes. Oh my goodness. The best, okay, spoiler. The best part, actually, do we want to save the ending? Because that's part of my favorite arc with this character.
Oh, yeah, let's save it towards the ending. Let's save it towards the ending.
Because my favorite scene is the scene at the end. You know what that is, right?
Is it like...
when he's saying the Jewish prayer.
Yes.
That's my
favorite. Okay. So let's save that for the ending. So what else did you like about Logan Lerman in this show?
So just to give you guys a little synopsis on the character. So the character is just this 19-year-old kid from, I think it's Brooklyn, and he's just hanging around. He's got nothing to do. And his grandmother raised him. She's a Holocaust survivor. And then one night, a man just senselessly, what he thinks is a senseless killing, it turns out to be a former Nazi. And he's basically taken under the wing of Meyer Offerman, which is his grandma's friend. And we'll get into that later. But like I said, I do like the evolution of the character. He goes from this skittish kid not really knowing what to do. And when he's brought into the world of Nazis, he still sometimes doesn't know what to do. He battles with his morality. Because at the end of the day, they are killing people. So I really liked, I think his character is super well written and really realistic. What do you think, Steph? Sorry, I just rambled on a little bit.
No, you're good. We're going to do that a lot because we just love the show so much. I thought he was great. One of my, because I wrote 3 different scenes that I thoroughly enjoyed. And there's a scene where after, I believe his friend dies, where he's talking to this character, Meyer Offerman, played by Al Pacino, and he's having this like panic attack. And he's like, I just loved how well it was written and how realistic and well done Logan did it, where he's like freaking out and panting. He's like, he's going, I'm on fire. I feel like I'm on fire. And like, he's like in such distress, but the way it was said, like, and everything about that scene, like I loved, like, I don't think it's been a while since I've seen someone who's able to make a character that vulnerable. Like to even where it feels like someone in real life in a vulnerable moment. And I love that scene. And he just he has the weight of the entire show on his shoulders, and he carries it and he does it excellently.
Absolutely. And You know, we kind of see throughout the story a lot of things happen, but I like that the main motivation and what it always comes back to is his grandma. Because I
Hmm.
feel like at the end of the day, she is the heart of the show. And I feel like he also carries that well, bringing his grandma along with him. And I think they used the grandma really well in this because she gets killed off the first episode.
Yeah.
So I think they do that very well where they kind of carry her throughout the rest of the show. Like she's in almost every episode afterwards too.
Yeah, she's like, oh, not, I wouldn't say like a ghost, like a haunting, but kind
No.
of like she, yeah, I guess the way you could say is like a ghost. Like it's just, him thinking of her and stuff like that. And what would she do? What would she say? What would she think? And it's very well how they did this. They also did this with a few other characters too. They also did it with two characters. And it's not just Logan Lerman's character, who, Jonah, that's his name. Jonah's, the character Jonah. It's not just him who sees these almost like ghosts. There's also, in the show, there's a woman named Mindy. She loses her husband, and she starts
Aw.
seeing him throughout too. Which I couldn't stop crying. I watched the show 3 times, and I cried every time.
The biggest heartbreak of the show. Yeah, so there's this couple in the Nazi hunters group named Murray and Mindy, and they're also Holocaust survivors. And basically, their thing in the show is they're haunted pretty much by the death of their son, who was like merciful, like just awfully killed by this Nazi hunter just for no reason, just because he's evil. So that's their kind of weight. And towards the middle of the show, where he kind of sacrifices his life and because there's an explosion and he kind of is trying to help everybody and towards the end he sees his son and he says God is
Tears, all
great.
3 times, tears. I
And
couldn't
it's such
stop
an
sobbing.
emotional scene because you love this couple, like they're the cutest little Jewish couple and you're just like, oh my gosh, look at them kill people, they're adorable. And when he dies, it's just kind of part of the show does take a turn after his death.
But what I like was that, he was such a great character. I loved the character Murray. And they still, because of that, with using Jonah and seeing his grandmother in like this, I'm going to say ghost like
Yeah.
appearance, kind of like just like a visiting. They do that with Murray. And I was so happy that they at least did that with Murray because you got to see him in for a few other episodes. And obviously, like one of like the saddest scenes is when he's with when after Murray dies, Mindy is there and she starts talking to him, but it's like the ghost version of him.
Yeah.
And he brings her to see his son and everything. Oh, I was so when I say like, because even though this movie has great action, everything, you will cry. You will cry because of how just so well it's done. And like, there's so many shows I see where it's like, I know the show wants you to cry, but it's just too cheesy. No,
Yeah.
this tugged at every damn heartstring I had, and just, oh, it was just so well done.
Because there's most of the characters in the show you do get attached to, like Mindy and Murray were one of them, and then Jonah, um, and then even Meyer to an extent.
Yeah, Meyer to an extent. I think it was I think they purposely, like, even though we were attached to him, there were some they how do I say, they portrayed some things in the beginning to where it was kind of leading us to be like, hey, remember this, you got to be a little suspicious of him. Like there were just like 1 or 2 points, very tiny things throughout, but at least for me, I realized like, towards the end, I was like, oh crap, these 2 things happened earlier in the show. Those were like the smallest little, you know, inklings of hints. And
Yeah.
it came full circle though.
I think we should leave Meyer. I agree with you, and I think his character is probably the most intricate out of everybody. I do feel like we should leave him for last, though, because he's a big chunk of the plot.
Yes. So I want to get into because there were 3 people who stood the most out to me. It was Logan Lerman and then now Josh Radnor, who played Lonnie Flash. His character was so great. He was the comedic relief.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes like the comedic relief where they just become annoying. I didn't feel that way with Lonnie.
No. He was very good. This is the same guy that did How I Met Your Mother. He was Ted.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was just so good as Lonnie Flash, and his character is supposed to be this, Nazi hunter by night, this B movie actor by day, and it is just he's so well written. He carries a lot of like the humor of the show, and he just does it so well. And he's got like, and they kind of put him to the test because he's always just making jokes and he's always just the comic relief. But in one episode, they pretty much make him the hero.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like even though he was the comic relief, I like it when shows, because sometimes shows just don't give anybody backstory. If you're the comic relief, you're just there to make everybody laugh. Like you're the, the loose one. But I did feel like they gave him like sort of a troubled life. Like this guy was in rehab at some point. He was an alcoholic. He is also an aspiring actor and he can't get any jobs. So I feel like they gave him a really, not like the rest of the group, but like something to stand on.
Yeah, and I because for me, I only know him from How I Met Your Mother. So when they first introduced his character, I wasn't sure he could pull it off just because I knew his character Ted Mosby, on How I Met Your Mother. So I was like, I don't know about this, but I was really surprised. He did a great job, and he's my second favorite character. Is there any honorable mentions? Because you know who I'm saving. You know which character I am saving to talk about.
Stephanie's
favorite. Which of the main ensemble did you really like?
I really, really liked Biff in the show. He's introduced in the first episode, and he had it really like hooked you onto the show. In the first episode, the first scene, this guy's having a barbecue with the family, and somebody brings their girlfriend. And the girlfriend is a Holocaust survivor. So she starts freaking out in Polish. And she's like, you killed my whole family. You're the butcher.
Because she recognizes him from the camp.
Yeah. And he kills everybody. His wife,
kids. He just takes out a gun and just pew, 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 and knocks them all out.
They're in the show. And he's kind of funny in the show. For a Nazi, he's like in the show. He's supposed to be like this real like a head Nazi guy. And he's in the White House. And he's made me laugh a lot. But one of the things I actually like the actor himself. I don't know if you're familiar with what he does. And I've only seen him in a few things. He's always the bad guy.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised to see him working. I don't know if you know why. But not that the actor himself is anything bad. But there was this movie he was in. It's called Happiness. I haven't seen it. But I saw it on like a most controversial film list. And he played a pedophile.
Oh.
Yeah, like a very, and I didn't see the film, but I looked up some of the comments and they're just like, the fact that he was accepted after this, because not that the character, like it was a graphic movie, but there's a lot of like, there's graphic, like what they say is graphic, the plot is graphic. So, and like the actor himself is just like, yeah, that has not impacted my career in any way. And I'm just like, wow. So I'm very used to seeing him as the bad guy in films, but this is very different. And I thought I couldn't see anybody else in that role.
No, he was just so good. He was so good when he was playing, this this Southern gentleman politician who he had a great accent, and he was very, very good. And I agree. I don't think I could have seen anyone else play a character like that other than him. But that's what I didn't know about the whole pedophile thing. I think at the end of the day, he played a pedophile. He wasn't one.
I mean, obviously, but I find those things interesting, but because most people who do very, very controversial roles, they don't bounce back very quickly.
Yeah.
Because they're seen as that person. So the fact that he was able to like kind of morph and morph out and branch out, do different things, I think is very impressive. So, I just want to say that, but we should get on to the main, Stephanie's one and only. The reason I introduced Stephanie to the show is because this character.
The actor, the incomparable actor, Greg Austin, who plays the character Travis. Oh my God.
The American Nazi.
I used to say the American Nazi. And I used to say that Daniel Bruhl, he played, he was the Nazi in Inglourious Basterds. He's also been typecast as a Nazi in 5 other films or so. So I always used to be like, oh, he's my favorite Nazi. No, Greg Austin is number one now. He is just so amazing. Not only like he's got this fantastic physique, he's got it's just he is so good at everything he did. Like he breathed perfectly in this show. Like it was just so good. And this is not just like coming from like, oh, you just think he's good looking or whatever. No, like he was just, for example, there's one scene like I dropped my jaw because I was like, I love where this is going, where Travis is shooting at the group because Travis is the kind of like the the Nazi PA. He's the go-getter. He does all like the dirty deeds of the Fourth Reich.
Right.
He is their hitman essentially. And there's one point where he is shooting at the hunters. And out of nowhere, he just belts into Man of La Mancha's The Impossible Dream while he's shooting a like 12 gauge shotgun, and it is beautiful. Like, I don't know if this dude is a Broadway actor or something, because one, he sings amazing. His singing is fantastic. And two, the fact that I don't know if this was spur of the moment, I don't know if this was scripted, I don't know what, but the fact that they just made this Nazi just start singing The Impossible Dream was the most brilliant idea in the entire show. And he continues to sing, and it is stunning, it's brilliant, and it works.
I agree. Like, one of the things that the songs actually, his random songs, but another thing that I really liked about the character was the way the character spoke. I don't know if you know, I'm sure you noticed, but
yes,
he had a very like robotic, sarcastic tone.
He reminds me, you know what it reminds me of? I watch a lot of like serial killer documentaries.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot like some of them. And it's really good. Like there's this one, he's like on a flight and there's a kid next to him with a peanut allergy. And he does this whole long speech about how it's not the peanut's fault, it's the kid's fault. And like about the whole allergy. And it's just riveting. It is awesome. Like they just made this stunning speech out of a peanut allergy, and it was fantastic. But that's like when you first start realizing like, oh, he is not a normal hitman.
It's not even like, it goes beyond being a Nazi. Like he is a straight up psychopath. Not that Nazis aren't psychopaths, but like there's an issue aside from there. Like there's a mental issue going on.
For sure. And then when they just had him start singing, that's when you realized, holy shit, this dude is insane. Like off the rockers. Like he is ballistic. He is animalistic. He is so crazy. And it was the fact that they had to make him sing Man of La Mancha while killing, for us to realize that was like the best way to deliver. Like, hey, this dude is full blown psycho.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought, and I introduced Stephanie because I knew you would like him. And he, not to put you on the spot, but I also knew he's your type. So
one of my two types.
He looks like he's a Bill Skarsgård type.
Yeah, he looks like Bill Skarsgård. One of the things too, it's one of the things I've wondered about him. I wondered, because this character is so psychotic, is he really a Nazi or is he just in it to kill?
I thought of that too, and that's kind of why I said aside from the Nazi, he's a psychopath. I don't know, because there's a lot of evidence to say that he just wants to see blood. He just wants to see the world burn.
Well, yeah, because he does kill Nazis too. He does kill some of his own.
I have a feeling it's like a power trip too. Like the reason he kills that guy is because he embarrassed him. Mm-hmm. He's like, nobody, even if we're on the same side, like nobody is going to do that. And he not only does he kill this guy's brothers in cold blood, he just kills them in the car and then sings a song after.
What was the song?
I want to. It's not.
Oh,
I don't know what.
Put your head on my shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's just belting that. Like literally, he takes this dude's head, smashes it into the car's dashboard like 10 times, takes the seatbelt, chokes this dude out, and then just casually sings Paul Anka's "Put Your Head on My Shoulder." Like, what?
But it's great. I feel like you want to watch this, even though this guy's, you want to see him die, you also want to see him live because he's so entertaining. And there's nothing I expected. He's totally unexpected in the show. He does a lot of crazy things. He says a lot of crazy things, especially that last scene. You know, this guy is.
Oh, yeah. So pretty much, he ends up, because this is not spoiling the big one, but he ends in prison. And in prison, he asks for a Jewish lawyer. And in the prison, he's like, to come to power, you have to make this display. He almost, I'm realizing when he talks, he reminds me of the Joker.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like a very Joker-like train of thought. But he tells this Jewish lawyer, he's like, I don't need you to set me free. I just need you to make an example. And he takes like a shiv and just kills this Jewish lawyer in the cell. And all the other prisoners are riling up. And he just starts screaming, what was it? Jews will not replace us.
Yeah, and everybody chimes in. Everybody chimes in. So you're starting to see like, oh, this is a bigger problem than just some psychopath running around.
Yeah, it was, his character was just so, my favorite character by far of the show. Like, and I think honestly, like if you ask me like, oh, like, do you want to sit down and do you want to binge watch this entire show over again? I'd say yeah. And I'd be most looking forward to his scenes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So
we both breathed at the same time and we both thought we were going to say something.
I don't want to interrupt you. Okay, well, is there any other characters you want to mention? Because I think it might be time to get into Meyer.
I think so. The only thing I'm going to say is like the ensemble was great. I thought all the actors that they picked and all the different diverse characters that they picked were awesome. And what I liked is that it covered a lot of political issues, but it didn't feel forced.
Absolutely.
Like the dialogue and the different characters, like everyone in this group has almost like their own agenda, but whatever their agenda may be, whether it be, it didn't feel forced. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
It had a really nice sense of balance. Before we get into, because I feel like the last thing we're going to talk about is the character Meyer. Let's do directing. What did you think about it directorially?
Directorially?
Nope, just
yeah, that's a good. Again, this is just my opinion because you're the expert, but my little opinion, I liked it a lot. I think like even some of the non-realistic scenes where he's like dancing to Staying Alive, Jonah, and I like the flashbacks of him and his grandma, and I liked how the show unfolded a lot. And I think he did a great job. I think, yeah, like I said.
For this show, there was, usually with shows, they have many different directors. I think all of them, what is so tricky about making a TV show is that every episode, directors don't have as much freedom. Mm-hmm. And I say this just because most of them will want to pay respect to how the first episode set things up, because you can't just start mixing in, you can't film this show like a Requiem for a Dream. Meanwhile, like the first episode was filmed like Grease. I'm just putting examples here, not saying that it's how it was, but you have to have a certain of consistency while also adding in your little flair. And I felt like those little flair were noticeable. One being the Staying Alive scene where Jonah and his friends, which by the way, his friends, if you look on IMDb, his friends' names are Booty Hole and Cheeks. That was something I learned. I was like, how did we not notice that his two friends that are in the show for a lot of it are named Booty Hole and Cheeks?
I knew Booty, but I didn't know Cheeks.
But Booty Hole, there's a difference between booty and booty hole. Okay. So
that's Director Conti's take, everybody.
I'm just gonna have merch that says there's a difference between booty and booty hole. But so with the directing, there's the Staying Alive sequence, which was great. But then there's also like a bar mitzvah scene.
Oh, I love that scene.
where they introduce everyone, and it's such a great introduction, and it does it so well. And then meanwhile, one of the things that not I like when I watched it with my parents, they didn't like, and I don't know if you liked. I really enjoyed the game show bit.
I did too. I thought it was funny, but I thought it was also like real.
So there was for those who don't know, there was a game show scene where it's a fake gay show, well, a game show where what was the name of it? It pretty much was like
hate Jews.
Why people hate Jews. And so you had to, like, these contestants had to name everything, but it gets really, really dark. And in the end, pretty much the host is like, do you know anyone who could be on this show? Could you win big money? I bet you'd win big money. And it's just like, ooh, creepy.
I think one of the things the show does really good is pointing out like anti-Semitic, anti-Semitism. Yeah. Is that how you say it? I think the show does a really good and respectful job at that, because just, you know, even though we don't hear about it a lot today, it doesn't mean it's not happening. And I feel like that little game show, it kind of just shows you, like, there were little comments that, like, I don't know about you, but I've heard in my lifetime. And
yeah,
it's such a
really
common and
sense.
horrible thing, but like the game show kind of is just like, hey, like this is it. Like this is just passing by. People say, like, I don't know. I liked it because I thought it had a deeper meaning.
For sure. Like it kind of took everything that, like, you, and I'm sure most people have just heard amongst their lives. Like, we've all heard crappy things. And it just, like, kind of made you realize, it gave you sense of the severity of it when you really think about it. And it was just, that scene was so well done. But overall, I think the directing was just so great. I really enjoyed the directing.
Another one of my favorite scenes is Murray and Mindy's daughter's wedding with Jonah, because throughout the show, Jonah's kind of struggling with, like, really what being Jewish means. And, you know, before he doesn't have a lot of, like, connection to, you know, what happened or just his culture. But when that wedding comes in, it's just kind of, Meyer kind of pulls him aside and is like, this is our people. And Jonah finally gets it, and he feels like he's in a community. He feels like he's accepted. And I like that scene a lot because I feel like that's the heart of the show.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely that bonding, that care, that sense of connectivity within that religion. And also, you know, paying remembrance to, you know, Holocaust survivors and everything, and knowing that although, you know, relatives may have passed, you still carry a piece of them. And, you know, what you do in your life is they're living through you. Like, you know, those who have passed are living through you. So I thought that was really, like, overall, it's just a fantastic show. I think it hit everything on the money tenfolds.
All right, here we go. Now we're going to introduce Dunkachino. Meyer Offerman. All right, Stephanie, you can start this because this is a big piece of the show. This is kind of, I would say, the main plot of what's going on.
So the way that, so I'm going to explain how Offerman and Jonah get connected. Jonah doesn't meet Offerman until after his grandmother passes. And it is revealed that Offerman said that him and Jonah's grandmother were together in the concentration camps, and they were together and they loved each other and they struggled through there. They each had to do their own disgusting things just to survive in there. Like, even at one point, Offerman admits that he had to kill 11 people to spare Jonah's grandmother. And these scenes, like, of them in the Nazi camp too, I'll just say, is just fantastic. Like, the flashbacks are just so well done.
They did such a good job at portraying, like, what happened in the camps. It's very real, and, like, you end up feeling angry and just disgusted throughout all of it. And it's very, like, there's a scene that, like, stuck with me a lot. The human chess game.
Oh yes, that was terrifying. It was, and I say from, like, a film perspective, it was kind of stunning how it was made, but it was still terrifying. I say stunning in, like, how they played it out and how they made it. Like in the first episode, you have Offerman explains how one of like the head Nazis would play a game where instead of using chess pieces, he pretty much had like a full real life chessboard, but where he used Jews to play these different parts. And obviously, if instead of the chess piece being taken up, if you were one of those people and you played a chess piece, if you were taken out of the game, you were shot and killed.
I think that's what happened to her sister, right?
Yes, that is what happened to Jonah's grandmother's sister.
Yeah, so there's a lot of scenes in the movie where like, I feel like in a lot of World War II films, you see some horrifying things. You see people getting killed. You see people. One of the things I liked about the show, it kind of shows the psychological element to the Holocaust. Like these people were sick and sadistic and would do like, not only would they kill them, but would play games with them pretty much. And
yeah,
I feel like the show does a good job at saying like, this is what it was. And this is why we do this. So I just wanted to point that out. But go ahead, keep going with Meyer.
So Meyer, like I said, it's revealed that the grandmother and Meyer had, they loved each other during the concentration camps, and that one day he just got up, picked up his stuff, and left. And I'm trying to remember. The grandmother ended up having a baby, which it was a daughter, and her daughter ends up dying, and then that's how she gets Jonah, was because her daughter and son-in-law both passed. And this whole time, like, it's kind of leading you up to think, like, in the middle, you're like, is Jonah, like, because they don't reveal straight from the get-go that Offerman is Jonah's grandpa.
I mean,
they don't leave that in the beginning.
I feel like if there was something you could predict, it would be that, because, even though like him and not Myers, but Jonah's grandma were like good friends, like he does take this kid under his wing and pretty much just show him everything, give him everything. So there's a sense of like, okay, is there more to this than just like attachment to that woman? And you find out there is.
And one of the most important things, and then you don't find out about this until like mid-season, but there is this Nazi doctor who was at their camp where they were at, who wanted to be with Jonah's grandmother, but Jonah's grandmother was like, no, like I love Meyer Offerman, and that is that. And because of that, this doctor starts torturing Offerman. And tortured him psychologically, physically, cut him up, would just cut him for like 8 hours, really just took a toll on him. So
and it was because Jonah's grandma, he gave Jonah's grandma a job, I believe, right? And she said
he offered, but she denied it. He offered her a really good job, like where she would be fed, she would have her own bed and everything, and she still denied it.
And I think he thought it was because of Meyer. That's why he targeted him.
So he targeted Meyer because of that. And there's this, how do I say, one of the most pivotal moments is like, dang it, I lost my train of thought. Help me, Savannah.
Are you talking about the wolf? Like which?
Yes.
Are we talking?
I was going to say something, but then I realized I already thought I said it.
We're talking about when he got arrested in the camp, when he was torturing Meyer, the scene where he's killing people, like shooting people. The ending.
I can't remember. I haven't had any caffeine today, so I'm a little slow.
It's okay. But basically, the wolf tortures Meyer, like physically, and then he makes him shoot 11 people for Jonah's grandma. So basically, what happened?
But the big reveal.
Yeah.
But the big reveal in the end is that in the end, the real Meyer Offerman has been dead for years, and that this Meyer Offerman, played by Al Pacino, is actually the wolf.
Dude.
So what ends up being is that the wolf, right before the camp's ended and everything, he killed the real Meyer Offerman, took his identity. And I think not only to escape, but just to get close with the grandmother again.
So basically what happens is, like after liberation, I think he escapes and kills Meyer, and then I think he realizes he couldn't pretend because he stood with the grandma for a little bit and basically he leaves her a note and just goes away.
Yeah, like he kills him, and like the same day where it's like Meyer disappeared was the same day that he died. And so really, so this new Meyer Offerman, like Al Pacino's Meyer Offerman, is not the real Meyer Offerman. He's the doctor Wilhelm Zooks, and he is also not the grandfather to Jonah.
Which is awesome. Like, I thought that reveal was awesome. Like, it was so good because you're on this guy's side. This guy's the hero of the show. This guy's doing the right thing. This guy's killing, like, he does make a plan to kill Nazis. And the reason he's found out is because Jonah starts reading his grandma's diary. And in the diary, the real Meyer says that when he finds the wolf, he's going to say a prayer and then kill him. But when...
Which, by the way, the wolf is also the doctor. That's what they call it because it was Wilhelm Zooks. Yeah.
So when Jonah thinks he's found, like, the wolf, another German doctor, he brings him to Meyer. Meyer kind of slits his throat really quick. And then he realizes, he's like, he didn't say the prayer. And then a lot of his excuses weren't making sense. And it kind of just clicks. And it's this big reveal. And he goes on this tangent and saying, like, oh, I regret what I did. You can't punish me anymore. And I was saying in the beginning, my favorite scene with Jonah is the scene where he kills Meyer. And he says the prayer that his grandfather wanted to say. So it was just like, oh my gosh. Wow.
And one of the things I really liked about Meyer Offerman, because even in the end, like, at least for me, I didn't want him to die. Because at the end of the day, even though he had his past, he reinvented himself. He got plastic surgery because he tried living in Germany, but people were starting to recognize him from the camps.
Yeah.
So he went to America, got plastic surgery to change his face. And he, you know, now Meyer Offerman, now he went from a German, now he had to live like a Jew. So he would go to temple, he would read the Torah, do everything. And he realizes his mistakes and he realizes how much he enjoyed being a Jew. And he found out that his penance was killing Nazis.
But I think
not only to
go ahead.
not only to right the wrong that he did in the past, but killing Nazis gave him purpose.
I think, well, the reason they started doing this is because Jonah's grandma saw a Nazi in the supermarket like a few years back. But I think it's one of those characters that you don't want to see die. Like, I didn't, but I realized, like, no, he has to die because what would be the message if they let this guy live? Like, this guy was the worst Nazi in the camp by far. So I think Jonah also getting to kill, like getting to avenge both of his grandparents really was the height of his character. And I think that's why it needed to happen as well.
And even what I thought was so interesting was even when he sees the grandmother saying, like, don't kill him, I was a little surprised. I wasn't expecting her to pop up in the scene at all in like that little ghost format, but I was surprised because she was like, don't kill him. Meanwhile, this right there before him was the man who killed her lover from the camps. This was the man who haunted her and like who was this huge nightmare cloud over the nightmare cloud that was the Holocaust. And it just surprised me that they put her in the end and she was like, don't do it. Maybe it was more for Jonah. Maybe she didn't want Jonah to be ruined.
Yeah, I think because if you notice in the beginning, she was like, I don't want him involved. I don't want him doing this. So I feel like, and she always harbored on the fact like you have to be a good person. There are certain things you can't do and blah, 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 blah. And she didn't want him to be in the darkness, as she would say. And I feel like if he did that, if he killed this man, even though he's killed like 5 people before, that's it. This is what you're going to be doing. And
I also wondered, like how I wondered with Travis's character, I also wondered if the means of killing, Nazis for Meyer Offerman, Al Pacino's Meyer Offerman, was the fact that he could continue to kill as he did in the camps.
Ooh, now we're going to argue. Now we're going to argue in his morality. I mean, I think that's a good assumption. because this person is evil. Like, if we're gonna be honest, I don't know how much people change. You go from what 30 years before, like torturing people and seeing people die at your hand, to
Mhm.
carrying out justice per se. So I think you have a point there. Like, it really could have just been him having an excuse to kill people like he would before.
And a foolproof, like, no one's gonna argue with him. Like, he's like, I want to kill people who killed. And it's like, okay. But it was just, I realized that towards the end, because when he says it was my purpose, it seemed like his only purpose was not a act of righteousness, but it was simply the act of killing.
I think that's a good assumption, because I feel like at the end of the day, like I said, this person was a really bad Nazi. And most of the killings, if you notice, it was very personal. Like, he was very passionate about it. Like, it was always like, the speech he made, and it seemed like you believed what he was saying. You believed that this guy was there at the camps and was tortured. It could just be the fact that he is passionate about killing and torturing people. So that's a good point to make.
I wonder if the people who he targeted were the people who knew him the most. Like, who knew of, like, the wolf. And I wonder if he was, like, not only just killing, and this is all just a theory, I don't fully believe it yet, but just because there was a sense of care, like, especially with the relationship between Meyer and Jonah, that's where I'm hesitant about my little theory. But I don't know. Like, I just really wondered at the end, did he just kill Nazis just to kill?
And I think that's what the show wants you to do, though, because the show kind of puts you on your head. Like, everything is upside down now, because the man you were rooting for, the man who made this whole thing and he's getting revenge for all these people, like, is the man who did that, who tortured, kill, just everything. So I think that's what the show wants you to do in a way.
But now we can't talk about the ending without talking about the sweet little morsel that they give for us in the end.
Oh my, wait, before the ending, I have a little something to say on the side.
Oh, okay.
Some of the Nazis they introduced, I don't know if they were all real. I'm not going to say they were all real, but do you remember the Rocket Man character?
Yes.
I didn't know he was real.
That's crazy.
I didn't know, and I looked it up because I'm like, they played a song, and it didn't seem like a song recorded for the show. So I'm like, okay, let me look up Rocket Nazi Man. And it's this guy, like, did stuff for America. Like, they brought him here to, I don't know, I couldn't believe that. So I'm like, wow, that kind of stuff.
It's there's a lot of things in the show that, like, I've looked it up, like Project Paperclip. There have been rumors about that being real, but obviously, the government isn't going to say.
Conspiracy theories. I was just kind of pointing out the fact that one character was real, and like that kind of makes me have an opinion on those things, because, wow. I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was interesting, but we can get to the ending.
And well, in the end, and I'll say, like, as a little tidbit, in the end, when they're in South America.
Oh, wait, we needed the character. So there's a character in the show called Joe, and he was in Vietnam War, and he's kind of haunted. He has, some troubles about the war. He has PTSD, you can see, and he's part of the Nazi group. And basically, he gets kidnapped by...
Whoa, part of the Hunters.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
He's not a Nazi member.
Oh, sorry. We said Nazi too many times. No, he's part of the Hunters. He's a good guy. Sorry, Joe. But, yeah, Stephanie, just continue. I wanted everyone to know who you were talking about.
Yeah. So one of the things I was going to say, well, because the last final scene takes place in South America. And in reality, after the Nuremberg trials, a lot, and this is real life, a lot of Nazis fled, because I think only 30 Nazis, about like a very small amount of Nazis, were actually convicted during the Nuremberg trials. And like, keep in mind, there were tens of thousands of them. So probably more. So a lot of them fled to South America. And that is where they actually, one of like the most notorious, like one man responsible for, I want to say 100,000 deaths, probably more, was found in South America. And so this last scene, so I just want to put that little fun fact that, yeah, some Nazis were in South America. But the last scene does take place in South America, where Joe has been kidnapped by the Nazis and is brought to South America. So in South America, Joe is sat at a table. The main Nazi villain, the the colonel. The colonel sits down in front, but before sitting down, she goes, "It's lunchtime, Adolf," and you don't see the face. You just see torso up to the little Adolf mustache, and then it's like, oh, Hitler is the final boss in season 2.
Yeah, so that's definitely. Sorry if I sound weird. My mic went out, guys. But literally, so the show is also there's sort of a Fourth Reich happening. That's where all the American Nazi comes in, and that's where like the Colonel comes in, and we find out that behind all this is Hitler, old Hitler.
Old Hitler. Yeah, a little old Hitler, but I just the Joe's face in the end when he realizes who he's sitting across from, and his eyes just like pop out of his head. Like it's so good. I thought they couldn't have ended it better. Like as soon as season 2 comes out, I am binge watching it all.
It was such a great show, such a great ride. So I would definitely recommend it. Remember, there's not a lot of characters. There's extra characters that we didn't talk about. So don't think we spoiled it all for you.
Yeah, and plus we did miss a few plot points here and there, but that's just because we wanted to talk about in terms of like a film or movie, how well it was just overall written, the characters, and what we felt about the ending.
Yeah, so Stephanie, what do you give the show?
Honestly, 9.9.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10, 9.9. I say 9.9 because I don't know what that 0.1, but 9.9 feels good. What could that 0.1 be?
But that's still an A from both of us.
I mean, yeah. 99.99 is still 100 if you round up.
So yeah, guys, during this quarantine, there's no excuse not to watch this.
It's so good. So next time, we're going to be talking about a Criterion called Three Women. So be sure to keep a lookout for that, and hope you enjoyed this review.
We gotta talk
and go watch the show. At the end of the day, we spent 57 minutes talking about a show. You better watch it because it's just
absolutely.
So good.
It's one of my favorite shows. Let's talk about our new upload schedule for everybody.
Yes. So for the month of May, we're going to be uploading 3 times a week. So our schedule is going to be similar, except we are throwing in that bonus Saturday. So our schedule now is going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday upload schedule. So the way it's going to be is Fridays is going to be a Criterion pick, Saturdays is my pick, and Sundays is Savannah's pick.
I'm excited.
Woo! All right. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Take care.